been working on changing my garage from a pretty unusable space to a very usable space. And this week I am tackling a new workbench, but it has a sneaky feature. Get that out of here, put this one here instead. But then the greatest part about it is that whenever I'm done, I can collapse it back into itself and then have all of my garage space back. Let's get into it. I do have a set of plans with a cut list available if you want to prep all your parts like I have. And then if you have a CNC, then you can cut them out on the CNC. I'm gonna start by building a pedestal for the side cabinets. This entire build will be the same method of using wood glue, then a pre-drill, and then screwing things together. Since I have two side cabinets, I build a second that is identical. Next, I can assemble the cabinets that go on top. I'm building everything from 3/4 inch plywood. By building cabinets this way, where the toe kick area is a platform instead of the sides having a shape built into them, you can not only nest the parts better for better material use, but you can also level the platform alone instead of the entire cabinet. Make sure to make them mirrored and not identical. After both are built, I move them down to the ground so that I can attach the pedestal to the bottom. I go ahead and flip both units on their back in order to make this easier. Another tip is to pre-drill from the pedestal into the cabinet. That way you know exactly where to go. But then I go to the inside of the cabinet to screw it down to the pedestal. Alright, now let's make some doors. Since I have a CNC, I use that to drill out my mortises for the hinges. But know that they make cheap jigs that you can buy to get the correct sizing. I screw 2 hinges to the door, and a tip for installing them is instead of trying to hold it in the air vertically, lay the cabinet on its back so that the door can lay flat on the same surface and then can simply be screwed down into place. This makes it easy to get the position right, and then also allows me to work with gravity to secure the screw. If your door rubs slightly or is out of alignment, remember that there are adjustment screws to move it in 3 different directions. Cabinets are done. Now let's make a workbench top to span across them. A cheat I love to use to create a cheap and quick, yet strong, work surface is using a hollow core door. I cut it to length using a circular saw. Then use a multi-tool to cut out the cardboard ribbing on one end. Next, I fill in this hollow with a piece of 2x material, a little glue and a few taps, some brad nails, and it's done. I do recommend cutting the work surface slightly long so that once this fill piece is in, the entire thing can be cut to final size and both will be perfectly flush. Next treatment is to lay down some wood glue and smear it all around so that I can lay down a sheet of 1/4 inch material on top. This is going to give me a much more flat surface than the door itself, and also cover up the knob hole here. This panel is cut slightly oversized so that I don't have to worry about lining it up perfectly. I just want to make sure it's slightly overhanging on all sides. After letting it dry, I use a flush trim bit and a palm router to get it perfectly flush. Now you could leave it just like that. However, to go ahead and make it look a little bit nicer, I go ahead and trim out the perimeter using some 1x boards. What I do is use a combination of wood glue and CA glue. The CA glue will set up in just a few seconds, holding it in place while that wood glue has the full time to actually cure. Now, since this workbench has 2 work surfaces, I go ahead and repeat this process to make a second. And since this is a garage workbench, I actually don't mind the Mod Podge of material. However, if yours is going in a nicer setting, then you could always give it a coat of paint. The last treatment that the doors need, or the workbench surfaces need, is to be flipped over on the bottom side, and then I'm going to attach an ear by using pocket holes. And you'll see how these come in handy in just a moment. First, I need to move the base cabinets on their pedestals into place. You'll notice on these base cabinets that they also have a funky little ear to them. The idea is that I'll be able to set this workbench into place and have both sets of ears line up with one another, and then I can attach them to each other. That's sick. Not as looking like something? Now, depending on what your setup is, you could actually leave it like this. But as you already know the secret of this workbench, I have an inside mobile workbench that pulls out of this unique shape. So I start the process over essentially. I build a big box that is going to be a center cabinet. After putting all of the sides together, I flip this one on its top so that I can attach some casters to the bottom. Then I once again do my door trick where I lay it on its side and easily attach both of the doors. It's a little funky flipping this thing around with casters on, so maybe do the doors first and then attach the casters. Now I can bring in that second work surface I've already created and attach it right on top. This one doesn't have those funky little ears. Instead, it's just rested right on top where I can go to the inside and screw up to secure it. Okay. Let's see if this works. Yay! Heck yeah! Heck yeah! No! Oh, you know what? It's the caster. Yeah, it's the caster lock. So the back swiveling casters are actually just slightly bumping out and hitting the sides, but that's not a problem. I took them off, moved them in roughly an inch, and eliminated the problem. I think this thing is going to be incredible in the garage. I can absolutely pull it out in order to use it really anywhere in my garage, but then I can push it back in and still have room to move in a vehicle. Don't forget, if you want to build your own, I do have a set of plans that has a material list, a shopping list, and then all of the dimensions that I used. And I'll see you on whatever project I'm tackling next, guys. Guys, don't forget that I have templates available for this folding Adirondack chair. I love that you can deploy it, have a nice, sturdy, comfortable seat, but then after your party's done or during wintertime, if you don't want them left out, it goes into this nice, sleek profile.